Shivaya Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. My name is Mohit, and as part of GoMoksh, we are trying to make a series of videos to discuss some concepts about spirituality. So, in the first few set of videos, we are going to explore the basic concepts of spirituality, how you can define it, what does it stand for, how you can apply it to your life, and what can you learn from it. Right, and then after that, we are going to discuss about some paths laid out by our ancient rishis in our Sanatana Dharma that one can pursue in their spiritual journey or as part of their spiritual journey. After that, we are going to discuss briefly about what attaining moksham is, or what does moksham even mean by. Along with these, there are also going to be some tangents about related topics around these concepts. Before we begin, I would like to let you guys know that whatever information that we are sharing here is according to our personal experience and personal learnings that we have got from our Guru Sri Shivanandamai. And whatever information or whatever concepts that we are giving here is entirely based upon our personal experience. We have learned a few things under our Guru over the course of few years, and we are just trying to share them over here so that it might help someone. So, what is spirituality? What does it mean by, right? If someone decides to, pursue spirituality, how can they apply that to real life, right? Or is it only you might be hearing about this word spirituality very prominently over the last few years or something, right? Where people try to apply it to their life to bring some sense of groundedness and to bring some sense of balance to their life, right? Is it just only confined to that? Is spirituality only applied to give you groundedness or balance, or is there something more to it? Well, that's what we are going to discuss today. In my opinion, what I believe is spirituality is the journey of a soul from where it begins the very first life to the last, where it will realize that it is the Brahman and becomes the Brahman, right? So that whole process over the course of many lifetimes that a soul goes through, and anything that happens around that process is also part of spirituality. And this is just only one perspective, right? The definition of spirituality changes between each person as well, like depending on who you ask. The definition that comes out of them might be entirely different from what I'm talking about today. So like I said, this is my opinion, and this is according to the teachings of my Guru, right? So, is there and also one more thing is I don't think there is any word like spirituality as such, because spirituality is so vast, and it's it's like the science of existence of the universe itself, right? So when you say spirituality, the whole knowledge that exists out there, it just defining it in one single word, it doesn't do justice. But for our purposes of understanding, we are going to use this word spirituality over the course of this series, right? And like I said, depending on the level of consciousness or the knowledge equipped by that soul, the definition of this spirituality changes. Because if you might ask someone who's just beginning their spiritual journey, if you might ask someone what their definition of spirituality is, it might be entirely different from another person, right? So it also depends on the teachings that the person possesses, like from their guru, and it also depends on the level of that guru, like the knowledge acquired by that guru. So there are a lot of factors that go into when someone is trying to define spirituality. And that's exactly this is one of the reasons why we are trying to make this series, is because with so many narratives that are going on in the current world about spirituality and what it means and what it stands for, the core foundational knowledge that has been given to us by our ancient rishis and yogis and acharyas in our Sanatana Dharma, that thing, I think it got diluted over the course of time. And the main crux of it, or the main foundational principle of spirituality, has it's like very rarely to be seen these days. And that is the reason why we want to bring these videos to out into the world, so that whoever is interested in pursuing this path might know what actually it means by and what it actually stands for. And hopefully they'll be able to get help from it, right? So on another level, we've mentioned that spirituality is the journey of a soul from manifestation to dissolution. So what does dissolution mean by? What it means is, like, it basically realizes the concept that our Vedas talk about, like aham brahmasmi, tattvamasi, ekameva advitiyam brahma, aneka nasti kinchana. All of these phrases, or all of these sentences that we have, or quotes that we have, they define that there is this ultimate super consciousness that wraps around the entire multiverse, like the Ananta Koti Brahmand, right? It wraps around all of these things, and that is what exists in each and every living form in all of these universes, like the multiverse, right? That is what the Brahman is. So when a soul dissolves, that is what it becomes. Like, for the purpose of our understanding, we are mentioning it as, like, we are referring to it as dissolving, but there is no such thing as dissolving, right? Our soul, like, whoever soul it is, like every single human being, depending on the number of janmas or number of lifetimes that soul has taken up until the point where it dissolves, it has to go through the process of shelling out. Um, what shelling out means is, whatever the karma or whatever samskaras that it has accumulated over the course of different lifetimes, it has to get detached from all of these things and then leave them behind one by one. And that is how it will uplift its consciousness. And ultimately, when there is nothing else to shed, or when there is nothing else to, shell out, what remains is the Brahman itself. That is where it realizes that it has become the Brahman. That is what the process is. But for our understanding, we'll say that it dissolves into the Brahman, as a figure of speech, right? And like I've mentioned before, our Vedas will also talk about the same thing, um, about the ultimate Brahman that exists. And when I say Brahman, I don't mean to be, I'm not mentioning about one particular deity or one particular god, right? I'm meaning that Brahman is the ultimate consciousness that is wrapped around, and it is present inside every single thing, right? And if you look at it, when it is wrapped around everything, everything that is inside it is living inside it, right? For example, we say that the Brahman exists inside us, right, as Chaitanyam. But if you look at it on a higher level, if you zoom out from a very third person perspective, what happens is you will find yourself living inside that Brahman, right? So you are inside it. And once you realize, and once you shell out all the karmas and all the vikaras that are attached to you, or that are accompanied by you over the course of many lifetimes, once you shell out all of those things, the thing that remains is the Brahman itself. So that is what the process of spirituality is. And that is what is the goal of every soul will be. Once the soul comes into existence, it has to dissolve at some point of time. The only thing is, the over the course of lifetimes, the things that it the karmas that it accumulates, and the things that it does in multiple lifetimes will affect the process and the speed of which that that varies, but it has to happen at some point of time. Every single soul that is there will have to dissolve at some point, and that will happen no matter what. It's just that depending on the karma and depending on the samskaras of that soul, it might take some amount of time. It might take like 100 janmas, or it might take 1 lakh janmas. The time doesn't matter. The end goal of every soul will be the same thing. If not is, it will be the same thing. It's just that when that soul realizes that it is stuck in the cycle of life and death, and it has to, go out of it, break free of this cycle, then it starts pursuing its it starts its spiritual journey. And over the course of many janmas, once it keeps accumulating enough knowledge and once it equips itself with the gnana that is available in the Brahman, it will realize that the Chaitanyam that exists inside it is the Brahman. So that is the actual process of it is, right? And like I've mentioned, the soul will be the one that is deciding when to pursue this path and when to start progressing on this path seriously, because the soul decides at what time it is going to be manifested or taking birth as a human being, or as any other being for that matter, right? And for the purpose of our understanding, let's consider human beings. So the soul decides at what time it needs to be taking birth in to what parents, into what family that it needs to belong, who would be the partners, or who will it communicate with over the course of this lifetime, what it needs to do in this lifetime. Everything is decided by that soul, and it will, once it manifests here as a human being, it carries over the course of that path, right? It's just that the soul needs to realize that it is stuck in the cycle of life and death. It has to break free from it. At that point, the spiritual journey of that soul starts. It depends on, like I've mentioned, it depends on the samskaras, and depending on those samskaras, it will decide when or how and if that will happen or not. So when a soul decides that it is going to pursue spirituality, the trigger can happen at any point of time or in any way, right? You can consider Ramana Maharshi as a very good example for this one. Like he was, when he was in Madurai, about 16 years of age, he had this intense fear of death that came to him, and then he wanted to explore what it was, and he wanted to know what happens, like when some person dies, or what does death even mean by. And then once he decided that he wants to explore all of these things, he just moved away from Madurai. He came to Tiruvannamalai. He just sat in like intense tapas. He went completely inward, like seeking answers for all of these questions. And then eventually, over the course of few years, he attained spiritual enlightenment, and he left his body in Tiruvannamalai, right? So what I'm trying to say is, the trigger can happen in any way, and it can also, like for some people, intense bhakti or intense devotion will invoke that spiritual desire that the soul has, that will push them towards this path, right? And for some people, asking a lot of questions will trigger this path. Like for example, like me, you can I can give you my example. Like from the very beginning, I used to ask a lot of questions. Like being born in a very traditional family who follows a lot of customs, every time like someone used to tell me about, you need to do it in this way, you need to do it in that way, you need to do this, you will have to do it, I used to ask all of these questions, like why do I need to do this, what will happen if I do this, what will happen if I don't do this. All of these questions that were there, I was always asking them without knowing. Like and then at when I was about like 21 years or something, that is when I met my guru for the first time, and I knew nothing about spirituality. I don't even know what it means. I just used to listen to like the stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavata, and all of these ancient scriptures that we had. I just used to listen to the stories and then get fascinated by them. But that is the only spirituality that I knew. And when I met my guru, she gave me a couple of mantras to chant, and I kept chanting on, and nothing happened. Like uh, for uh, for the next 5 or 6 years, like because I was not serious enough. I moved away from India to abroad to pursue my career and all that, and a lot of things are there. But eventually, what happened is that trigger, it came into me by saying that I need to go in some go and do some sadhana. I need to put myself into some serious sadhana. I need to be serious about this one, and I need to start working towards the goal of my moksha. That is how the trigger happens. Like without uh, it has to be organic, and it will be organic when your soul decides that it needs to um, go on this path, or when it needs to like dissolve. That triggers things inside you that will make you push into this path, right? The same case for my wife as well. Like it was we didn't knew what spirituality was. We didn't know ABC about spirituality, but after meeting my guru, after spending some time with her, like talking to my guru and gaining knowledge from my guru over the course of time, things change. And that is the reason why I kept saying that the level of the knowledge that your soul equips itself with will enable that soul to pursue the Brahman itself, right? So now, when a soul decides that it is going to pursue spirituality, are there any paths that are laid out? And in our Sanatana Dharma, there are 7 prominent paths that are laid out, and these are also called as acharas. The first one is Vedacharam, Vaishnavacharam, Shaivacharam, etc., etc., and then we have Siddhacharam and Kaulacharam. Those are the final 2 acharas. These acharas can also be considered as stepping stones, right? Just like when you start your education, you will be going to kindergarten, and then your middle school, and then your high school, and once you graduate your high school, you'll be going to graduate. Just like you progress in your education, all of these acharas are also a way of gaining knowledge for the soul. The soul gains some amount of knowledge with respect when it goes through each and every achara, and it has to go through each and every achara before it reaches the final 2 siddha and kaulachara as well, because only when it goes through all of these things over the course of many janmas, it will understand the true meaning of what Brahman is. It'll be able to contemplate the concept of the Brahman itself. Like when we say Brahman, it is not a deity. It doesn't have any form. Like there are no gunas attached to it. It is nirakara, nirguna, nischala. Like it is that Satchidananda state of existence, right? That is what Brahman is. Like when we talk about Brahman with an beginner who is like pursuing spirituality, they won't be able to understand all of this. And that is the reason why these acharas exist, right? So that they can get familiarized about the concept of spirituality, about the concept of the higher existence. Like when you, for example, if you consider Mahabharata or Ramayana, you will be hearing about the beings that are on a very state, on the higher level beings or celestial beings like Gandharvas, Indra, and all of these other devatas or deities that are there in our religion. They are considered to be on the higher planes of existence from our bhuloka, right? And here we keep thinking that this is the only reality that we are in, and this is what it is, this is what life is, right? But that is not the case. Once a soul progresses through all of these acharas, it will gain that knowledge, and it will finally it will equip itself with enough knowledge so that it can understand the concept of Brahman. And that's when once that soul reaches that arhata, that's when it gets initialized into the siddhachara or kaulachara path, where it will be able to gain the knowledge necessary for its dissolution phase, right? So that is the reason why all of these acharas exist. And I'll give you a brief introduction about what all of these acharas are and what happens like in this path, right? So the first one is Vedacharam. Vedacharam will give you a very surface level, and it will give you the knowledge about all the deities that are there. What is a deity, and what is worship, how a worship needs to be done, and what are certain rituals that you can do. It will give you, it's like an introduction for your spiritual journey. uh, it that is what Vedachara is, right? It will introduce to a lot of deities like Ganesh, Skanda, Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, all of these things. You'll get familiarized with all of the concepts inside the spirituality when you are in this path, and after that, the next step would be the Vaishnavachara, where you'll still have some deities that will be there, but then your knowledge progresses into thinking that the Mahavishnu, Sri Mahavishnu, that is there, is the embodiment of the Brahman itself. So in Vaishnavacharam, Vishnu is considered to be the ultimate Brahman, like the Satchidananda Rupam that is there, Nirakara Nirguna. Vishnu is considered to be the embodiment of that ultimate Brahman. And in Saivacharam, it's the same thing, but instead of Vishnu, it is going to be Shiva, right? And if you go back in time in ancient Bharat, like there have been this sects of people who belong to Vaishnava Sampradaya and some people belong to Shaiva Sampradaya, but they used to quarrel between each other, saying like Vishnu is the greatest or Shiva is the greatest, right? This happens because the knowledge of that soul is still in the learning phase, and it is still trying to understand or like comprehend the concept of the ultimate Brahman itself. And that is the reason why like this bhedas or the differences in between these deities come into the picture, like but once you progress through these acharas, once your soul progresses through these acharas, it will realize that all of these deities that are there are also a part of the Brahman itself, like they are the manifestations of Brahman itself, and they are there for certain reasons, right? For example, if you consider all the avatars of Vishnu, like Narasimha, Rama, Parashurama, Krishna, all of these avatars came into existence for the Dharma Sthapana. That was the reason why they came into existence. But even though the goal is Dharma Samsthapana, the avatars itself, like they differ in terms of their characteristics and everything, right? It's just that the circumstances that are required for that avatar to manifest on this realm will dictate the characteristics of the deity, right? And that is the reason why we have a lot of deities that are there, and for each and every deity there is a different purpose. Like for example, if you consider Saraswati, she is the deity that represents knowledge. She is the one who gives the knowledge to the disciples. And Lakshmi is the deity of prosperity. It's not just wealth, like it's not just money. Prosperity can be translated in many ways, right? The feeling of contentness that you can have, like for example, a millionaire can have a lot of wealth, but if his mind is not content enough, if he's always thinking about something or always like worried about something, that means he's not prosperous. But at the same time, when if there is a beggar, but if he is content with his lifestyle, I'm not trying to compare anything, I'm not saying that this is right or that is wrong, I'm just like trying to give you the perspective, right? If someone is content with their life, no matter their status, no matter their financial situation, when someone is content with whatever they have and wherever they are in their life, that is what is prosperity is. And Lakshmi is the one that gives you that kind of anugraha, right, or grace. And there is Shiva, there is Shakti, there is Ganesh. Ganesh is the remover of obstacles, and there is Kanda. He is the warlord, like the commander-in-chief of the Devata army, right, to fight against Danu. And each and every deity that is there, they have their own purpose of existence, like the reason why they came into manifestation in the first place, and they have their set of characters attached to it. We will explore about these things in much more detail when we talk about some other concepts in another set of videos. But I think for now, this basically summarizes it, right? And after Shaivacharam, once you finish other acharas, you will finally reach the Siddhachara phase, where it will teach you about the concepts of the ultimate Brahman itself. Like up until that point, in whichever achara you are, there is some form of external worship, right? So that means you are separating yourself from the God, and you are seeing God as a different entity or a different thing altogether, and then you are worshipping that thing that you are believing in. That is what happens in all the other acharas. But when you come into Siddhacharam, the concept of the duality is gone. Just like Shankaracharya says, like Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma Aneka Nasti Kinchana. What it means is there is only one ultimate Brahman. There is no duality. There is no good and bad. There is no light and dark. There is no um, um, uh, there is no dual forms, right? There is no jivatma, there is no paramatma. It's all the same thing. This is all the same chaitanya that is there in each and everything. You'll try to when you come into Siddhacharam teaches you the ways so that you can get yourself familiarized with this concept and try to understand that concept, right? Knowing something is completely different. Like you can say that I can say Aham Brahmasmi right now, but it doesn't make me the Brahman, right? Because I'm still the Jivatma. I'm still in the Jivatma phase where I need to shell out a lot of samskaras and a lot of karmas that are attached to me over the course of lifetimes. Once I remove all those things, then I'll become the Brahman. Then I can say that Aham Brahmasmi, and it will have some kind of meaning. That is what is realization is. Knowing something is different, realizing something is different. Siddhacharam will teach you the ways that you can realize that you are the Brahman or the Brahman is you. It's basically the same thing, right? If you are that or that is you, it becomes the same thing. But there are subtle differences in thinking that you are that and that is you, right? We'll explore about this thing in detail as well. But for now, that is what Siddhachara is. Siddhachara removes the concept of external worship altogether, right? And it will teach you about going inward, like applying the concept of macrocosm and microcosm. They are both this one and the same. Like you will be able to understand how to apply that concept and go inward and then try to uplift yourself. That is what Siddhacharam will teach. There is and Siddhacharam is given to us by Agastya Mahamuni. He got it from the Shiva himself, and once he got it, like he created a set of disciples, and then he initiated them and made them Siddha so that they can propagate this achara into the world. And after Siddhacharam is the Kaulacharam, where that is the it's also almost similar. But there are subtle differences in between Siddhachara and Kaulachara as well. But I think for the context of this video, this will basically suffice it, right? And just like even in Vedacharam, when you consider, I've mentioned that it introduces to the form of external worship, right? But if you go deep into the Vedas, like or Vedanta, it will teach you the concept of the ultimate Brahman as well. Aham Brahmasmi is from the it's from one of the 4 sects of Vedas, right? And Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, all of these things, they've originated from the Vedas itself. It's just that when one decides that they are going to indulge themselves in this kind of path, and once they gain enough capability to pursue or even comprehend these concepts, those concepts will reveal themselves to you ultimately, and then you will be able to understand them. That is how the universe works as well. So in a nutshell, when a soul decides that it is going to break free from the cycle of life and death, and it needs to shell out all the karmas and samskaras and then dissolve, that is what the journey of that soul is, and that whole journey altogether can be termed as spirituality. And I think that's it for this video. Namaste Shivaya. For those of you who are watching our videos, and if you'd like to know more about certain topics, or if you have any questions about the topics, or if you want us to talk about certain things that have not been discussed here, you can always leave them in the comment section, and then we'll bring it up to you. And for those of for who are interested in pursuing this path, or if you are interested to meet our Guru, Ma Shivanandamayi, you can contact us through the email provided in the description. Thank you. Namaste Shivaya.